Domain to with a Boo.com surf forecast update. This forecast update effective around 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday, September 29th, 2016. And guys, this report brought to you by Salt Life Food Shack's Florida Big Wave Challenge. Get shacked at the Shack, Salt Life Food Shack. Florida surfers, if you have not registered for the Salt Life Food Shack's Florida Big Wave Challenge, now is your time to do so, as it looks like Hurricane Matthew moving into the central Bahamas Monday into Tuesday. Visit saltlifefoodshack.com, click on the Florida Big Wave Challenge at your chance at $8,000 in cash and prizes. Who's going to be the one to unseat last year's champion, Sam Barker, out of Central Florida? Going to start you off with a single satellite imagery now, and here is this area of low pressure near Nova Scotia and Newfoundland we've been talking about for the last couple of days. This is now forecast to become the first hurricane force low of the 2016-2017 North Atlantic winter swell season. Here's this cutoff low that's over here towards the mid-Atlantic. Now, models are suggesting that this area of low pressure, or energy from this low pressure, is going to travel in the wake of this one, and it's very possible that we could see a second hurricane force low out of this area right here. Now, guys, this is an extreme event unfolding. It's very rare that we see a hurricane force low, possibly two in the North Atlantic, at the same time of a possible major hurricane developing in southwest Atlantic waters. Here's the latest look at Tropical Storm Matthew, forecast to become a hurricane, move up over the eastern tip of Cuba and into the central Bahamas. We'll show you that here in just a few moments. Switch you back over to this hurricane force low. This is the 96-hour surface forecast out of NOAA's Ocean Prediction Center, showing rapidly intensifying hurricane force low, 954 millibar, next 96 hours. This is the latest wind wave. This image is in meters, showing 11 meters, that seas in excess of 35 feet. Here's the latest 96-hour swell forecast, showing a predominantly northwest swell developing off the tip of Greenland, and then 15 to 18 seconds just west of the UK. Now, that northwest swell is going to fan out all the way to Western Africa. The boys at Surf Camp Nagore are probably chomping at the bit. They've already had their first taste of winter swell season last week. Jesper and the boys posting some images of some nice swells working their way into Senegal and Dakar. Going to switch you over to the latest run of the GFS. Give me a second to back this up. Here's that area of low pressure now that is just near Nova Scotia and going to pass towards Newfoundland over the next 48 hours and up into the North Atlantic, and then intensifying into a hurricane force low. Here's this secondary low now off Nova Scotia, and it's also going to move up in here towards the North Atlantic as possibly the second hurricane force low. And then down here at the bottom, here comes Tropical Storm Matthew, possibly Hurricane Matthew, Monday into Tuesday. I'm going to switch you over to some satellite imagery, and you can see this is the current real time of Matthew. Matthew was a naked swirl, or didn't have any convection over the top of the center of rotation. It's now building convection over the top. This is your center of rotation. Forecast is for it to move to right about here. And if you can see the little circle right there, this is where it's supposed to make its turn towards the north or northwest in here. There's differences between the GFS and the Euro. The GFS is further west than the European model, and also faster by about a couple of days. We'll show you that here in the latest run of the GFS as we progress. This is the latest forecast map out of the National Hurricane Center, showing Matthew a tropical storm and then hurricane by 8 a.m. Friday morning. That's tomorrow morning, remaining a hurricane through Tuesday as it crosses over the eastern tip of Cuba into the central Bahamas. Now, mind you guys, again, this is one run. This image will change again over the course of the next 4 to 5 days. The National Hurricane Center reminds us that in the 5-day cone, there is a margin of error of up to 240 miles. So when you think about that, think about where you live and how far 240 miles is away from you, and that's the margin of error. That's why we're trying to keep this within a 5 to 6 to maybe 7 day window. We'll show you that here in just a few moments. Here's the latest swell forecast out of the National Hurricane Center's Tropical Atlantic Forecast Branch, showing some 12 to 13 second periods heading in towards the southeast coast. Now, this was generated when what is now Tropical Storm Matthew was 97 L invest. We've had some high pressure wind push that's developed over the top of that. That's going to push in over the next 48 to 72 hours, some 12 to 13 second periods in here towards the Outer Banks, down in here towards central Florida. Wind wave forecast showing a wide area of seas, 5 to 7 feet in here, under latitude 30. So and then combine that with the swell periods, maybe some onshore winds, light onshore winds, but expecting a decent bump going into this weekend. Looking at the latest buoy data and trying to confirm the swell data that we just showed you, looking at the St. Martin's buoy. St. Martin's buoy showing 5 feet of east-southeast swell at about 9 seconds. But when we jump over to the PR buoy showing 7 feet of swell height, 11.4 seconds, east-southeast swell out of the east-southeast. It looks like the buoy has maxed now at about 10 feet of sea height. There is a difference between sea height and swell height. For those of you who follow our forecast, you know whenever we say that there's solid swell on the buoy, that means that the swell height and the significant wave height are matching. If there was 10 feet of significant wave height, 7 feet of swell height, that tells us that there's 3 foot of wind chop on top of that swell. Here's the latest forecast out of the Euro model, last night's run. This is 10 days, guys, and now you're going to see the big difference. This is 10 days with Hurricane Matthew just northeast of the central Bahamas. This is this afternoon's run of the 12Z model run. Going to advance it for you, and as you can see, 48 hours just south of Haiti, 72 hours lifting off towards the north, towards Jamaica. Yesterday, the National Hurricane Center, in its first forecast track, had a direct hit on Jamaica. This track shifts it just a little bit towards the east, but still over the eastern tip of Cuba into the central Bahamas by Tuesday into Wednesday. Going to advance it just a little bit more. This is 144 hours out, guys. This is 6 days. No need to advance the model any further than here. Obviously, this would be tropical storm conditions likely off the Florida East Coast with a 982 millibar hurricane just east of central Florida. Now, this again is 6 days. Look where the Euro is at 10 days. A little bit further out towards the east. Show it to you again. Closer to the coast, GFS in its current run, Euro further out. Guys, this is what we want. We want the Euro. The Euro gives us confidence. It's a little bit more reliable than what the GFS has been, but this would set us up as the storm moved away with surf alert conditions, hopefully as the winds will switch offshore. Again, guys, here it is for Wednesday, and then here is the last night's run of the Euro, 10 days out, a week from this Sunday. Lots of time to watch. That's all we got for you for now. Stay tuned for the next update.